Hello champions and future champions. Hello Chessmood family. Gabuzyan is here with you and we're beginning our daily lesson. Today's topic is going to be about creating weaknesses. Let's take a look at this position. White has an extra pawn, but on top of that, white is having a pawn of black fixed on a7 square, which is a huge weakness. Our pawn is also fixed, but for some reason our piece's activity is more. This rook is stuck at this side of the board and knight on c8 is too passive. Meanwhile, our bishop on c4, which protects this pawn, is also attacking another one. So, white has a huge advantage, but we need to improve our position and increase the pressure. So, now I will offer you to pause the video and think, how can you create the second weakness in this position? White is aiming for the pawn, which is also under a huge pressure now, pawn on e6. Using the fact that this bishop is on g8 and this pawn cannot be moving forward, white just plays very simply, going f4, bishop e7, e5, takes and takes. Now this pawn is also a fixed weakness, it cannot be going anywhere. As well, let me note that pawn on e5 is now limiting these knight abilities. Black already is having two weaknesses, which means absolutely no counterplay is possible and all the effort is gonna be protecting these two guys. So it's happening rook b6, king e3, bishop e8 and rook a5 protecting the pawn, bishop d7 and king d4, white now activating the king as well. So here after bishop e8 I will offer you guys to figure out next idea which we're going to make in this position. Now white is deciding to go for a pawn on g7, fixing this pawn. Idea is starting with h4 move. In future we're looking to fix this pawn. If now black plays g5, takes, it's gonna be another weakness which we can be very easily attacking. We can bring our king to g4, sometimes attack this pawn with a knight, so it's not a good option for black. After h4, in this game it's happened. Bishop d7, bishop e2 now, and again, if black goes g5, we take, and this time we can already take on d7, and after takes, just play rook a3, since rook g3 idea is unstoppable. So this time g5 doesn't make any sense as well. It's happening rook b8, and now white is again playing very simply. Takes on d7, king takes, bishop f3. Bishop is potentially gonna be attacking this pawn, rook is holding a pressure on a7 and as well keeping this b5 pawn safe. Meanwhile, black is having two very passive pieces, rook cannot go to b7 since bishop is here, and after rook b6, king c5 now threatening rook takes a7, rook b8 and h5 we're fixing the third pawn. The thing is now guys, everything is fixed on the board and black has absolutely no moves to make. Now, after king d8, bishop c6, king e7, you can pause the video and just think about very simple next move of white. White just goes rook to a3, having in mind some option to bother this pawn as well. For example, now if king d8, we just go rook to g3 and take this pawn. So, after rook a3, black played king f7, bishop e4, king e7, and now king c6. Again white is going for this idea and using the fact now after king d8 we're having this check as well. So king e7 and white just wins with king c7 move, attacking the rook and the knight. You may say white created so many weaknesses but didn't even capture any of them. That's absolutely right guys, but because of these weaknesses all the time black was stuck to very passive defense. Meanwhile, all the time white was just improving the position. White got a bishop against the knight, activated king from g1 to c7 square. Meanwhile, black had absolutely no progress because of the fixed weaknesses. So it's a very powerful tool when your opponent has a weakness and stuck to its defense, so don't have any activity options. You are slowly creating other weaknesses at the other side of the board. Let's now go ahead to the next position, which will be your test for this topic, guys. Here, it's white to move. Black has a very weak pawn on b7, huge attacking pieces for white, and you can be sharing your thoughts and ideas how to create further weaknesses in the comments section below. Gabuzyan was here with you. Thank you for your subscriptions, likes, and sharing this video with your friends. We appreciate it a lot. See you next time during our next daily lessons.